He saved an alien girl and returned her home, unaware it was a test. Then the unthinkable happened. The sky above Haven 3 was quiet that night. Too quiet. Elias Carter noticed it first because he spent most of his life looking at the sky. Years ago, he had been a rescue pilot for the colonial fleets. Now, he flew cargo runs between forgotten worlds, boring work but honest. Quiet was normal, silence was not. He was finishing maintenance on his small transport ship when a sudden streak of light tore across the stars. Elias froze. The object burned bright blue, not orange like a normal meteor. It screamed as it fell, cutting through the atmosphere and disappearing beyond the dark forest north of the landing zone. Seconds later, the ground shook. A deep, distant boom rolled across the plains. That wasn't natural, Elias muttered. Protocol said to report any unidentified crash to colonial authorities. Protocol also said to wait for instructions and stay clear. Elias shut off his tools. He sighed, already knowing he would ignore protocol. Grabbing a med kit, a flashlight, and an old plasma cutter, he climbed into a ground rover and headed toward the forest. The trees grew thick and tall there, untouched by settlement. No one went that way unless they were lost or hiding. The closer he got, the stranger the air felt. His instruments flickered. His radio filled with static. When he finally reached the crash site, his rover refused to move another meter. Elias stepped out. A small crater smoked in the center of a clearing. Strange metal fragments lay scattered around, glowing faintly before dissolving into ash. Whatever had crashed was already breaking down. Then he heard a sound, a soft, shaking breath. Elias approached carefully, plasma cutter ready. Inside the crater was not a ship. It was a girl. She lay curled on her side, no taller than a human teenager. Her body was covered in a thin, cracked suit that shimmered like liquid glass. Blue blood seeped from a tear near her shoulder. Her eyes snapped open when Elias stepped closer. They were not human eyes. She scrambled backward, fear clear on her face. Her mouth moved and strange sounds spilled out, sharp, musical, completely alien. "Hey, hey," Elias said quickly, raising his hands. "I'm not going to hurt you." She didn't understand the words, but she understood the tone. Her breathing slowed slightly, though her eyes stayed locked on him. Elias lowered his weapon and knelt. He had seen aliens before, everyone had. The galaxy was full of them, but none like this. She looked almost human, but not quite, too graceful, too bright, too fragile. "You're hurt," he said softly. She looked down at her shoulder, then back at him. Slowly, she nodded. Elias opened his medkit and pointed to it. "Help! I can help!" She hesitated, then nodded again. As Elias worked, he noticed something strange. The suit reacted to his touch, reshaping itself so he could reach the wound. It was advanced, far beyond anything humans used. Yet she was here, alone, crashed on a backwater world. When he finished sealing the injury, she let out a small sound that might have been relief. "Name?" Elias asked, pointing to himself. "Elias," she blinked, then placed a hand on her chest. "Salith," she said slowly, her accent thick but clear. Elias smiled. "All right, Salith, let's get you somewhere safe." He helped her stand. She was light, almost too light, like gravity barely held her. As they moved away from the crater, Elias noticed lights flickering in the sky far off, searching. Not human ships. "Looks like you're being hunted," he murmured. Salith stiffened. Fear returned to her eyes. That was enough for Elias. He guided her into the rover, bypassed the broken systems manually, and drove back toward his hangar using old terrain memory instead of sensors. He did not report the crash. He did not call for help. He hid her. For the next 2 days, Elias kept Salith in a sealed storage room modified into a medical bay. She recovered quickly, too quickly. Her suit repaired itself, and her strength returned faster than human biology allowed. Their conversations were slow and simple. She learned human words fast. Elias learned that she was far from home and that her people were powerful but bound by strict rules. What rules? Elias asked one night as he handed her food. She hesitated. Rules about others, about helping, about interference. Elias frowned. So they won't come get you. They will, she said, but not kindly. That night, Elias caught an encrypted signal bouncing through the system. Alien in origin, searching. He had a choice. If he turned Salith over, he would be paid well, maybe even forgiven for hiding her. If he ran, he would be hunted. He looked at the girl sitting quietly studying a human book with careful focus. "You trust me?" he asked. She looked up. "Yes." That single word settled it. Elias prepared his ship for a long, dangerous jump. He plotted a course not to human space, but toward a region marked only with warnings and red symbols. "Where are we going?" Salith asked. "Home," Elias replied. "Yours." High above Haven 3, unseen by human eyes, massive alien structures adjusted their position. Beings of ancient intelligence watched data scroll across vast displays. The crash had gone exactly as planned. The girl's fear was real. Her injury was real. Her vulnerability was real. But the situation was controlled. The subject, Elias Carter, had failed to report the incident. He had aided the asset. He had risked himself without reward. An observer spoke, its voice calm and cold. "Phase 1 complete. The human has taken the bait." Another replied, uneasy. He did not hesitate. "Humans often act emotionally," the first said. "That is why they must be tested." Far below, Elias Carter lifted his ship into the stars, unaware that his simple decision, to help someone in need, had placed all of humanity on trial. And the galaxy was watching very closely. Elias Carter's ship slipped into hyperspace with a low, steady hum. Stars stretched into thin lines, then vanished into darkness. The jump was risky. The route he chose crossed unclaimed space, places where maps were old and warnings were vague. He preferred danger he could see. Salith sat quietly in the co-pilot seat, hands folded in her lap. Her suit shimmered softly, adjusting to the ship's atmosphere. She watched everything: controls, screens, even Elias himself, with careful interest. "You fly alone a lot?" she asked. "Most of the time," Elias replied. "Less trouble that way." She tilted her head. "Yet you chose trouble for me." Elias shrugged. "Didn't feel like trouble." Salith looked away, unsure how to respond. Hours passed in silence. Then the ship's warning system chirped. Elias stiffened. "That's not good." 3 signals appeared on the display behind them. Fast, clean, not human. "They found us," Salith whispered. Elias' fingers moved quickly. He cut engine output, dropped the ship out of hyperspace early, and let them drift into a dense field of broken asteroids. The rocks were jagged, spinning slowly, blocking scans. The pursuing ships appeared moments later, sleek silver shapes that glided like fish through water. They did not fire. They searched. Elias powered down everything except life support. They waited. Minutes felt like hours. Salith's breathing was calm, but her hands trembled. Elias noticed and quietly reached over, placing his hand over hers. "It's all right," he said. "We'll sit tight." She looked at him, surprised. Then she nodded. The alien ships passed by, sensors sweeping the rocks. One came dangerously close, its hull reflecting faint light across Elias' cockpit window. Then slowly they moved on. Elias released a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. "That was close," he muttered. "They will not stop," Salith said softly. "They are patient." "So am I." They jumped again, deeper into unmarked space. Over the next few days, their journey became harder. Elias avoided main routes and refueled from old mining stations long abandoned. Supplies ran low. Repairs were constant. Salith helped where she could. She learned quickly, understanding systems faster than Elias expected. "You should have been an engineer," he joked once. She smiled faintly. "My people do not fix things, we replace them." "That sounds expensive." "It is." During one stop, they encountered a trading vessel crewed by 3 different species. The captain looked Elias over with clear dislike when he realized Elias was human. "You travel too far from your kind," the captain said coldly. Elias simply paid for fuel and kept his head down. But when the captain's eyes fell on Salith, something changed. Interest, calculation. "Rare companion you have there," the captain said. "Worth much." Elias stepped between them. "She's not for sale." The captain smiled thinly. "Everything is." Elias leaned closer. His voice stayed calm. "Not to you." The tension hung thick. Other crew members watched, hands near weapons. Salith touched Elias' arm. "We should go." They left without incident, but as they departed, Salith spoke quietly. "You could have gained much by selling me." "Yeah," Elias said, "and lost myself." She studied him in silence. Later that night, Salith finally spoke about her people. "They observe many worlds," she said. "They fear chaos, they fear change." "And humans are what?" "Chaos?" Elias asked. "Yes," she replied honestly, "but also hope." Elias laughed softly. "That's a first." As they neared her home system, Salith grew distant. She spent long hours staring at the stars, her expression troubled. "You okay?" Elias asked one evening. She hesitated. "Elias, if my people judge you unfairly, you may suffer. I'll manage. They do not forgive easily. Then I guess they'll have to learn." Salith looked at him, eyes shining. "You do not fear them." "I do," Elias said. "I just don't let fear decide who I am." Unknown to them, far beyond normal space, vast chambers of light and shadow recorded every moment. Ancient beings observed data streams, emotions mapped and measured. "The human continues to choose risk," one observer noted. "Emotional attachment increasing," said another. "This may compromise the test." "No," the first replied. "This is the test." As Elia's ship entered the outer edge of Salith's system, massive structures emerged, cities built around stars, ships larger than moons, energy flowing like rivers of light. Elias stared in awe. "Guess I took the scenic route." Salith stood, her posture changing. She seemed taller somehow, more certain. "We are here," she said. A fleet surrounded them instantly, weapons locked but unfired. A calm voice filled the ship. "Human vessel, you have trespassed. Power down." Elias complied. They were escorted to a vast station unlike anything Elias had imagined. Smooth, living walls, light without visible source, silence that felt heavy. Guards arrived, not hostile but firm. Salith stepped forward. "I will go with them," she said. Elias frowned. "Alone?" she nodded. "It must be this way." He wanted to argue, but something in her voice stopped him. As she turned to leave, she paused. "Elias, thank you." "For what?" "For reminding me what choice means." She was gone. Elias was led to a holding chamber. No bars. No restraints, just waiting. Hours passed. Then a presence filled the room, not physical but overwhelming. "You have done well, human," a voice said. Elias crossed his arms. "You staged the crash, didn't you?" Silence. "Figures," Elias continued. "You put her in danger to see what I'd do." "You were observed," the voice said. "Measured." Elias shook his head. "You don't measure people by hurting kids." The presence seemed unsettled. "You were never meant to reach this far," the voice said. "Yet you did. Not through strength, not through intelligence." "Then how?" "Through refusal to abandon." Elsewhere, Salith stood before her people, her true form now visible, radiant and powerful. The council spoke of results and outcomes. But Salith's thoughts were on one human pilot who never asked for reward. And for the first time in her life, she questioned the rules she had always obeyed. The test was no longer simple, and the galaxy was about to learn something it had forgotten. Humans did not need to be powerful to be dangerous. They only needed to care. Elias Carter had been waiting for hours. The chamber was silent, smooth, and strangely warm. No doors, no windows, no guards. It felt less like a prison and more like a place designed to make someone think. He paced slowly, hands behind his back. "So," he said aloud, "who's judging who here?" Light shifted in the air. Shapes formed, tall, graceful beings made of soft glow and solid shadow. They did not walk, they appeared. You stand before the Council of Continuance, one said. Its voice was calm, layered, and old. Your actions have been observed. Elias didn't bow. Then you know why I'm angry. You interfered in a controlled evaluation, another voice said. She was hurt, Elias replied sharply. That's not an evaluation, that's cruelty. A ripple moved through the council. The risk was calculated. Then your calculations are broken. Silence followed, not hostile, curious. You speak boldly for one so small, the first voice said. Elias shrugged. I'm not here to impress you. Images filled the air around him. Scenes from his journey, the crash, the medical bay, the asteroid field, the trader ship. Each moment replayed from multiple angles. You were offered safety, the council said. You refused, you were offered wealth. You refused, you were offered distance from danger. You refused. Elias crossed his arms. That's what helping looks like. For your species, perhaps, the council replied. For ours it is irrational. Meanwhile, in another chamber far above, Salith stood before her people. Her true form shone now tall, luminous, and powerful. No suit, no disguise. The council faced her as equal, not child. You were the catalyst, one elder said. Your emotional deviation compromised neutrality. I did my duty, Salith replied. I experienced the test. And now you question it, another said. Yes, she said simply. The elders exchanged silent thought. Humans are unpredictable, one said. They form bonds too quickly. They destabilize systems. They also save lives without asking permission, Salith replied. Back in the chamber, Elias leaned forward. You've been watching humans for a long time, haven't you? He asked. Yes, the council said. And every time you hide, you test, you judge. But you never help. We preserve balance, they replied. Elias shook his head. No, you preserve comfort. The words hung heavy. You fear us, Elias continued. Not because we're strong, but because we don't wait for approval to do what's right. The council did not deny it. Another image appeared, countless worlds, countless moments. Humans aiding strangers, fighting disasters, building alliances, making mistakes, trying again. Your species expands rapidly, the council said. If uncontrolled, you may disrupt galactic order. Elias smiled sadly. Order that only works if nobody cares too much. The council considered this. Then the unthinkable happened. Salith entered the chamber. Elias turned, stunned. Salith, she met his eyes. I requested to speak. This is not your place, an elder warned. It is, she said. Because I was the test. The council grew tense. Salith faced them. You taught us that observation brings wisdom, yet you have forgotten empathy. She gestured toward Elias. He believed I was helpless. He had nothing to gain, yet he chose risk every time. He is an anomaly, an elder said. No, Salith replied. He is human, she continued, her voice steady. Across all trials, humans acted the same, not perfect, not peaceful, but consistent. Consistent how? The council asked. In refusing to abandon others. The chamber filled with more images. Humans standing between danger and strangers. Humans arguing for lives not their own. Humans rebuilding after loss. Elias felt his throat tighten. You used me, he said quietly to Salith. Yes, she admitted, and I regret it. The council spoke again. The human is to be isolated, his species monitored. No, Salith said, the word echoed. You defy the council, an elder asked. I do, she replied, because your verdict is flawed. She turned to Elias. They fear humans because humans change what they touch. Elias gave a small smile. We do that. The council debated in silence, thought passing faster than light. Finally, the first voice spoke. The test was meant to judge humanity, it said. Instead, it has judged us. A pause. Human Elias Carter, the council said. Your species has passed. Elias blinked. Past what? The right to exist unbound. Salith exhaled, relief washing over her. But understand this, the council continued. Humanity will reshape the galaxy. Elias nodded. We usually do by accident. Laughter rippled soft, surprised. The council had not expected humor. "You will be returned home," the council said. "Your people will be contacted." Elias looked at Salith. "Guess this is goodbye." "Not goodbye," she said. "Beginning." As Elias was escorted back to his ship, he felt the weight of what had happened settle in. He had not fought a war. He had not made a speech. He had simply helped someone who needed it, and that had been enough. Far beyond the station, systems adjusted, messages prepared. A new chapter began. Humanity had been judged, and for the first time in a very long time the galaxy felt uncertain. In the best possible way, Elias Carter returned to Haven 3 in silence. The Council's ship released his small transport at the edge of the system. No escort. No warning shots, just a simple message sent to his console: "You are free." The jump home felt longer than usual. Elias spent most of it staring at the stars, trying to understand what had really happened. He was still the same cargo pilot, same ship, same debts. Yet somewhere out there, ancient beings had decided the fate of humanity because of choices he never thought were special. When he landed, nothing seemed different. The hangars were noisy. Dock workers complained. Merchants argued over prices. Life went on. Elias thought maybe that was the point. 3 days later, everything changed. Every human network, from deep space relays to old planetary broadcasts, lit up at once. A signal appeared, clear, calm, and unmistakably alien. People panicked. Governments prepared defenses. Fleets scrambled. Old fears resurfaced. Then the message spoke. "We are the Council of Continuance. We have observed humanity for a long time." The galaxy listened. "You are not the strongest species. You are not the oldest. You are not the most advanced." Some humans braced for condemnation. "Yet you are the only species we have found that will cross danger for someone who is not your own." Across Earth and the colonies, people went quiet. You help without certainty of reward. You protect without certainty of survival. You bond without certainty of understanding. Images followed. Human rescue teams pulling aliens from wreckage. Doctors treating unfamiliar biology. Civilians standing between strangers and danger. Many of the moments were forgotten by those who lived them. The Council's voice continued. "This behavior makes you unpredictable. It also makes you essential." The announcement ended with words no one expected. "Humanity is welcomed as an equal participant in galactic affairs, not as subjects, not as assets, as partners." Shock spread faster than joy. Then came questions. Why now? Why humans? What changed? The Council released one final detail. The decision was confirmed by a single human who refused to abandon one of our own. Elias Carter woke up famous. Reporters waited outside his hangar. Messages flooded his terminal. Offers came from governments, corporations, and media networks. He ignored them all. He took his ship out instead, flying low over the plains, letting the noise fade. He never wanted to be a symbol. He had just done what felt right. Far away, Salith watched the human response from a council chamber. Humans argued, celebrated, feared, prepared. They did everything at once. "They are already adapting," one elder observed. "Yes," Salith replied, "they always do. But they will bring change," another warned. Salith's voice was calm. "So did we, once." In the weeks that followed, humans entered the wider galaxy, not with war fleets, with engineers, with translators, with doctors and traders and explorers. Other species watched carefully. Some expected domination. Others expected chaos. What they got instead was persistence. Humans asked questions no one had asked in centuries. They repaired old stations others had abandoned. They formed friendships where treaties had failed. They argued loudly. They disagreed often, but they showed up. On a remote station damaged by a stellar flare, a human crew stayed behind to help alien civilians evacuate, long after it stopped being profitable. On a border world plagued by instability, humans volunteered as neutral mediators, not because they were trusted, but because they kept coming back even after failing. Slowly, a pattern emerged. Humans were not perfect. They were exhausting. But they were reliable in one dangerous way. If you were in trouble, a human might help you even if it cost them something. That scared the galaxy more than weapons ever could. Elias finally received one message he did open. It was from Salith. "You once asked if this was goodbye," it read. "I believe humans call this checking in." Elias smiled. They met again months later on a neutral world. No guards, no council, just two people walking under an unfamiliar sky. "You changed a lot," Elias said. "So did you," Salith replied. "You look tired." "Yeah," he admitted. "Galaxy stuff does that." They sat together watching ships come and go. "My people still debate whether inviting humans was wise," Salith said. "And?" Elias asked. "And every time doubt rises," she said, "we look at the data." She turned to him. "You do not conquer by force. You exhaust fear with kindness. You disrupt stagnation simply by refusing to look away." Elias chuckled. "We're bad at leaving things alone." "Yes," she said softly. "That is why you passed." Across the galaxy, new stories spread. Stories of humans who stayed when others left, who fixed what was broken instead of replacing it, who treated strangers like future friends. A warning followed those stories. If you harm a human, others will come. Not for revenge, but to make sure it never happens again. Humanity did not rule the galaxy. They did something far more unsettling. They became involved. And once humans care about something, they do not stop caring easily. High above, ancient observers updated their records. "Status of humanity," one asked. Another replied after a pause. "Uncontainable, irreplaceable, not a threat." And somewhere on a quiet world, Elias Carter fueled his ship for another cargo run, unaware that his simple choice had rewritten galactic history. He never meant to save humanity. He just saved a girl, and the galaxy never forgot it.